The Daytona International Speedway. We've started many a season this week alone, and the Highline Racing League will be no exception. In its 19th season of action, we welcome HLRL and the Westlake Royal Building Products Premier Series back live on FTN. And of course, the venue, as familiar as it gets, Daytona Beach, Florida's 2.5 mile circuit, the world center of racing, Daytona International Speedway. We're coming back, of course, after the crowning of a two-time champ now in Alan Kunman, and we're looking to see the veterans go back at it with 35 drivers registered and taking to the track as we speak. I'll be your host for tonight's broadcast. I'm David Kreutz, commentating and producing. With drivers getting on their way for, of course, their opening lap, it'll be Sebastian Miller who grabs the pole position, as this is our first race in the new Gen 6 era, taking it back in time to when we used these Cup Series cars from 2013 to 2021. Your starting grid goes as follows for tonight's festivities: Sebastian Miller in first and Dawson Buchanan in second. It'll be DJ Stagner then P3 and Connor Holden in P4 with Lucas Lodato in fourth. Alan Kunman is going to find himself right beside Corey Blevins and the 06 of Sean Billman 7 and 8th, and J.R. Houston with Matt Muir concluding the top 10. 11th place immediately thereafter will then be Dalton Beer with Jacob Hall, the number 44, running in 12th. You'll have 13th place occupied by Andrew Baker, and 14th is the 51 of Joshua Sim. 15th place is going to be Scott Zellner, the all-time winningest driver, and Roberto Ramirez. Then and there, he will be in 16th. Rest of the field will go as follows. It's a quite big list, and with 35 drivers, we haven't the time to announce each and every one of them just yet. But rest assured, they're all on track tonight, and they're about to get things going. With that said, the field is assembled once again. Drivers are ready to get at it, and the Highline Racing League will return here and now. The iRacing official pace car will head down low, and it'll be Sebastian Miller and the number 83 bringing the field to green. Green flags out from the world center of racing. Sebastian Miller takes it to the points. Welcome back to Highline Racing League action. Season 19 is underway. Two to get things going. Sebastian Miller going to find himself pushed now by his Swamp Motorsports teammate in DJ Stagner. Then from there, you've got the number 81 of Connor Holden right up high, and the number 8 of Alan Kunman. Kunman looking with a different paint scheme this season. It's going to be black, white, and red, and he's taking it back to the DEI era number 8 rather than that typical Junior Motorsports look. So a different paint scheme and a different identity for some of these drivers will go down each and every one of them as the night progresses, many of which returning competitors with seasons of experience, some of which, of course, making their very first starts. Connor Holden now to the point in number 81, and a wonderful throwback it is. As you see now, your timing and scoring screen, drivers are right on the way. Single file up in front here. 80 laps on the day, so it was slightly compressed. You might have noticed that originally the race was advertised as a 100-lap feature. 200 miles on the docket, however, for tonight, which comes in at a total of 80 laps. And currently it looks like every one of our drivers, all 35 of which, have gotten away. Notably, Dawson Buchanan finds himself at the tail end of the field now and alone. Buchanan in that number 4 going to be far behind where he would like to be. That Toyota Camry, of course, no help, which is the worst thing you can have at Daytona. You got to be with the field to have even the slightest of chances, and currently, Connor Holden has himself up front. Notably, Swamp Motorsports holds the best positions in the opening races, of course, in these opening laps. They've done it many a time before, and of course, the mastermind behind it is the driver running in third place. An inaugural Integrity Ignite Series champion. He's a multi-time champion of the Highline Racing League, and it's that number 64, DJ Stagner, and it's no wonder he's up in front. Yellow flag on the night, back of the field. It looks like early troubles, and we find ourselves under yellow. Buchanan and company get away, but the caution will fly for the first time tonight. Taking it back for an instant replay of the incident, and we'll show you just what happened here. Front of the field looked to be just fine, but keep your eyes on the mid-pack. Go through turns 1 and 2. First caution today coming out rather early here, and you see the moves being made in the middle of the pack. Rookie Joey Chapman in the number 19, and now trying to figure out exactly what caused it. Will lead us, of course, to believe that it was a middle of field incident, and that it was very slight. But one driver sent all the way out. That is the number 51 on your screen, and as a result, we got trouble. Joshua Sim sent into the grass, and it's contact. Playing it back for the moment of impact, and you'll see Sim here, 51, turning down low, caught by Dalton Beer and the number 21, and it looks like, with contact from Jim Falk, Joshua Sim goes sliding. Caution's out. Sim brings out the yellow flag. Austin Bloom keeps things going, as does the number 21 of Falk. It looks like right now, Jim and the number 21 will get away. Minimal damage to all three drivers involved, luckily. It looks like everyone involved will continue on. Maybe a little bit of optional damage repair and, of course, new tires for the Joshua Sim car, but nevertheless, familiar running up front, and the majority of the field is kept intact. Top 5 as we are under yellow. Connor Holden, Sebastian Miller, DJ Stagner, and Lucas Lodano 4th, with Sean Billman, P5, the highest placed rookie so far of the night and one of only 2 inside the top 10. Lily Sobey in the chat room coming in for the number 7 of Lodano. Lucas starting the season strong, multi-time winner and road courses. He swept them for the past 2 seasons, and he's hoping to keep the light alive and start it with very first race victory. Real opportunity for him to do so as he starts, of course, up front. Kicked it off in P5, currently up 1 spot in P4. And it looks like he stayed right around that range from the beginning of this one to only lap number 6 here. Rookies on the night, including, from top to bottom, Sean Billman, who currently runs in 5th. That's the 06. Jim Fott in the number 21, 18th to 14th on the day in that number 21. Look a little bit further back, you've got Joshua Sim in the 51, 14th down to 24th as a result of that incident. Joey Chapman, the number 19, 25th up to 32 so far for Chapman. And it looks like those are our additions for the season. Brand new drivers making their way in for their first ever Premier Series starts. The remainder of the field, some 31 drivers, have been here for at least one previous race, many of which with multiple seasons of experience. Connor Holden, Sebastian Miller, and DJ Stagner hold control. Swamp Motorsports, perhaps the most successful team in Highline Racing League history with these season opening events, and a lot of that success comes off the back of that number 64 in Stagner. We've said it before and we will say it again. At Daytona, he is always a threat. But when he's got his teammates around him, it's even more so. That number 64 cannot be ignored. In the time that we had our development series, the truck series alongside the Premier Series, Stagner swept the Speed Weeks in season 16, able to victory, of course, in the trucks and the then Gen 4s. So now, Even though there's only one race, his goal remains the exact same. Connor Holden got the job done last time we went racing in Talladega, so he knows how it's done at these super speedways as well. Sebastian Miller, podium finish last season to kick off the year, and so a very, very well-accomplished group on the outside, and they know what it's of course about at these particular tracks. Lucas Lodato has the bottom. Connor Holden has the top. Sean Billman opts to go down low as well. Looks like Sean right now at 0-6. Working the inside groove with the assistance of Corey Blevins. Blevins really coming to his own at the end of the last season. You might remember 2 consecutive podiums to end the season. The Indiana native said the focus was on execution, trying to finish things up at the very end of a race, and of course he did so twice at the end of season. A one-time former race winner, season 15 at Bristol. Blevins finds himself again with the opportunity to go race winning very early and keeping the streak alive for what would be 3 straight podium finishes, the highest active streak of anyone in the league. Pace car's low. Number 7 of Lodato holds control on the bottom, but Connor Holden gets the jump officially. The entire field now behind the 81 once again. Double file in large part, and tonight, strategy game. It's due to be played. Overall, we have ourselves 80 laps on the day, which means that pit cycle could be a one and done dependent on how long we go under green flag conditions. Currently, it looks like we've got ourselves an opportunity to go green again, but if we get ourselves a nice rhythm, could take us a little while to do so. No fast repairs, that's the one thing to keep in mind. As it's always been in the Highline Racing League, the second chances don't exist. You take your car from the green to the checkered, no matter what state it ends up in, and that is that. So drivers have to keep themselves, of course, in mind that one mistake could be a race ender, and race calmly, especially during this first half, expecting these first some 40 laps to really play out just to make sure everyone gets through to the first half of strategy. Then from there, you really go and put the power down. 3 wide. For a brief moment there, Corey Blevins seeing some wiggling on the outer groove, and it looks like the majority of the field now falling back a little bit further here. Double file all throughout, but instead of staying packed up tight, you're starting to see guys like Dalton Beer, Jimmy McKee, Dylan Poteet give it a little bit more space, as opposed to rushing into the situation. Scott Zellner, Scott Wheeler, the Flying Scotsman, both champions. Wheeler, a 2-time back-to-back champ, and Zellner, the winningest driver in series history, the only driver now chasing after that win number 20. And he is, as it stands, just a win away. Scott finds himself oh so close to that accolade, and if he has some support tonight from his teammates, he has a few of which are in this race, it could become a very serious possibility that he comes through and gets the job done. Zellner right now 15th to 16th, so -1 on the day, but right in the middle of the pack where he'd like to be. With some teammate support, he could fly much further up the ladder. Caleb Morrissey in the number 6 tonight is going to run in the second group to start, lying back and staying out of trouble. Morrissey turned out to be a multi-time winning contender last season. 1 victory overall on the year, a few podiums to boot. Morrissey looking to bring some speed back to the number 6, as it's official once again. That Channel Lock Ford Mustang is back in action. SSBB Nightwing in the chat rooting for Morrissey, and it looks like right now he's going to keep himself out of harm's way, looking to succeed further up in the race. Holden remains on top, with Miller, Blevins, Lodato, and Andrew Baker the top 5. Double file is the expectation tonight, and even when that first yellow flag came out, drivers were running in double file formation. The only issue that came of it was that there was a minor discrepancy, two drivers making contact, and that chain reaction began, kicking Joshua Sim right out of line. Sim's race is far from over, as a matter of fact. You see him right here. The 51 is still in the race. Just because of that contact didn't mean it was race-ending damage. So Sim gained the opportunity, as did everyone involved, to reflect on it and keep things moving. And that's, of course, a major positive, given the fact that so early, a race-ending wreck would be absolutely horrible. Joshua stays right there, number 51, exactly as he's got it. Currently holds outside the top 25. Corey Blevins looking to make some moves up to the race lead now, being pushed hard by Andrew Baker. And it looks like now Blevins has a real shot to make it work. To the point here for the 24 as they come across the line. Outside groove is pulling much quicker, and it looks like, yes, Corey Blevins will lead the way. Just behind, you've got Terry Brooks, 32nd up to 5th, up 22nd on the day so far, and that gain is huge. Looks like right now, no turning back for Terry, who was previously as high as 6th. Now he's gotten even further up, started in 32nd, and has not looked back ever since. Now it looks like Terry's got himself good momentum on the high groove and good track position. Doesn't have to concern himself all too much, of course, with what's going to happen just behind him. Full steam ahead and up in front, Terry Brooks is going to come across the line once again here and stay inside the top 5 fronts. Lucas Lodato is going to be right now in 6th, Alan Cummins 7th, Stagner in 8th. A lot of these drivers returning members of the Highline Racing League family, but for many of those who are watching, whether or not you're a first-time viewer or a returning fan, well, it's always great to reintroduce these drivers back to you. It's been a while since the Highline Racing League has gone racing. It's been since the end of November. So with that said, it's been a few months. How about we get to know the field one by one from the very beginning? Well, looks like your new race leader is Andrew Baker, and he'd like to introduce himself. Baker tonight, 13th to 3rd. He has not gotten himself a victory in the modern era here of the Highline Racing League, but tonight, it looks like he's already got strong pace. Baker's been with us since season 14 on FTN, has competed with this league for the better half of this decade. With that said, he's looking to break that boundary tonight and finally find victory lane, something he's never done beforehand. Terry Brooks has gone 32nd up to 2nd as an ambassador of our premier sponsor at Westlake Royal Building Products. It's wonderful to have the number 23 team and the Brooks family back with us. You'll see Kenny later on in our run through, but tonight Terry's got himself up and in front, and he's being pushed by one of the strongest competitors in this league, Alan Kunman. Two-time champion and defending one at that, Kunman's been able to make multi-win seasons, championships twice over. Kunman, without a doubt, one of the best accomplished drivers in this field, racing for Blacktop Racing today. And that's one of the strongest teams in this field with an enterprise of more than 4 drivers on any given night. Currently, the number 8 is up to P2, and now right behind him, coming up, is Jacob Hahn. Hahn, a member of the Four Horsemen, is oftentimes the quietest of that team, doesn't find himself often up in front, and usually goes for a part-time schedule. But compared to where his teammates are right now, Hahn is making a very early impact, up 8 on the day, and now that number 44 rides in front of the outside groove entirely. Jacob he finds himself typically running the number 76. You might notice tonight, he's not running that number and instead has made quite the switch. The 44 is here to stay, and hopefully it holds out well all night long. Big dispersal. We're seeing some contact here, and the field's coming apart. From Corey Blevins on down, yellow flags out again. It's a smoke show. Roberto Ramirez gets boxed up in the 41. Casey Heschel nearly additional damage. And a huge incident. It starts with the 24 of Blevins. Check this out. Taking a rewind here, it looked like there was a slowdown, and Blevins went up to the high side, caught the 0-1 of Matthew Rodriguez. Then Dylan Poteet knocked by Jimmy McKee, contact with DJ Stagner, and the 0-6 of Sean Billman. More contact ensues as the number 19 of Joey Chapman falls, gets the 21, that of course being one of our rookies in Jim Fott, and then sliding all over Casey Heschel, the number 20 of J.R. Houston, and of course, a little bit more, Dawson Buchanan. Roberto Ramirez gets boxed up and gets really lucky here, right on board with the number 41 at the time of incidents. Nowhere to go. Drivers behind him and drivers in front of him. Luckily, he parks it perfect and gets away from damage. He's one of the fortunate ones. Many others don't get quite that lucky. Jacob Halm is your race leader. Looking to pit road this time by. Does the field decide to bite? Looks like the call for many is no, but Terry Brooks will make his way in, and here goes the majority of the field. Four tires and fuel, the expectation. Drivers coming in for damage repair, coming in for regular service, and it looks like that's going to leave, ironically, Jacob Halm, the only driver, out of pit road. Door to the pack comes down and in, and it looks like now already one driver leaving. Scott Zellner wins off pit road. Then you got Alan Kunman and Scott Wheeler coming out immediately after. As it stands, it will be Terry Brooks, the final driver inside the top 10. And to conclude, of course, the top 10, you got drivers like Brooks, Harris, Miller, Lodato, Holden, and Jimmy McKee. Some drivers going to go in for extended pit stops. Damage sent all throughout the pack. Ty Smith currently the only driver, one lap down. The number 18 is on pit road. Looks like minor damage, if any, and avoided the last wreck. Whereas other drivers, such as Dylan Wedgwood, Kenny Brooks and company, aren't as lucky. They're staying down there for extended service. We'll see who ends up staying the longest. Chad Winstead gets back on the way, number 60, and a former champion, back on the move. Different look for Winstead as well, taking it down with the silver and black. And a rather mute paint scheme compared to what he usually runs. Winstead got some back-end scruffing, but it doesn't look to be anything significant when it comes to the motor. The 44 Jacob Halm comes to the point. Inside groove is his. Outside will go to Zellner. A quarter way through this event, it's your second caution of the night. This time around, it definitely was a big wreck. And Jacob Halm, one of the few, and as a matter of fact, the only, to try and stay out here. Strategy calls for everyone else to come in at least once, and Halm is going to decide to wait it out. There are 4 tire sets in this race allowed for each driver. Really shouldn't need anything more than 4. It looks like most drivers will abide by that rule. But Halm is going to take it to the extreme approach of saving tires. See whether or not that ends up being a successful route, because currently Jacob's the only driver holding it out. As it stands, 33 drivers on the lead lap. Tyler Snyder, the last of which, running tonight with the SP Designs Brigade. His Ford Mustang is catching up right now to the front of the field, of course. Looks like you had to wait quite a long time there on pit road, more than a minute for these pit stops when they're half a track back. That's the one benefit of the Daytona International Speedway. You don't get caught up one lap down unless you have major damage. Those optional repairs, usually there's enough time to figure things out on one's own. The field returns to green. Second of the night, Jacob Hamm and Scott Zellner coming back at it. And this time around, the number 44 has control. Highest placed Chevrolet, it's the 44. Highest placed Ford is the number 2. Toyotas, you got to look back to Joshua Sim, who's now inside the top 15 after his involvement in wreck number 1. Green flags out for your second restart. The sunlight beams down to the virtual Daytona International Speedway tonight. The 2.5-mile circuit well lit, and that's great to see. Daylight driving for the Highline Racing League. It'll keep them awake as you go into the later hours. Currently, your ambient temperature coming in at 81 degrees Fahrenheit. Track temp is a little bit warmer at 89 degrees, and relative humidity low enough to be negligible at 28%. Conditions shouldn't be much of trouble tonight, especially given the fact that it's only an 80-lap race coming in at 200 miles. Overall, FTN Broadcasting, we've done nearly 1,000 miles this week at the Daytona International Speedway, 300 plus with the Ignite Series on Monday, 250 with the Octane Series, 250 just a few minutes ago with the Iora Cup Series, and 200 here in the Highline Racing League when it comes to a close tonight. Which means that at the end of it, over the course of 4 days, we'd have done 1,000 miles on the channel consecutively at Daytona. As a matter of fact, since the Ignite Series race went to overtime, it'll be more than 1,000. And the Highline Racing League, with, of course, the honor of finishing that off, they're the last big season opener on the calendar, which means that FTN Broadcasting is wide open all throughout the week. Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays expect full-time coverage and special events coming to you on Sundays until the Schumacher Racing League opens up. Zellner leads. J.R. Houston appears to be the first retiree of the night. He is 4 laps down now, and Ty Smith, who is 5 down, would be next to pass him, but Ty has not yet gotten out of that Toyota Camry's pit stall, still 35th and last. Meanwhile, on the outside of the frame, here comes leader Zellner and the outside groove. Scott Zellner, Alan Cunman, and Scott Wheeler positions 1, 2, 3 on the order now. 25 laps in out of 80 here, rushing down the back straightaway. The outside groove appears to have the advantage. Now the 44 of Jacob Hamm tries to find a little bit of assistance here in Sebastian Miller. We'll see whether or not the now broken up Swamp Motorsports guys prove effective on their own. Currently, Sebastian Miller leads his team. You got DJ Stagner. A little bit further on back, you got additional teammates such as Connor Holden, and lastly, Ty Smith. Smith, unfortunately, tonight looks like he's going to be very far from the action, especially with the fact he's 6 laps down already. Side by side again, Jacob Hamm rushing to the bottom. Hamm right now is going to see in his back pocket the 97, a teammate, although they're not on the same groove here. Scott Wheeler finds himself right up high, and for the time being, it looks like those two can't quite get together. Further on back, you're going to see Caleb Morrissey and Scott Zellner, the both of which, the problem for them is going to be that they are also mired in traffic. The number 6, of course, of Caleb Morrissey finds himself way back, qualified in 34th, He's now gotten up to 21st. Speaking of Dalton Beer, since we're talking in the chat room here, he's right there. Number 3, the oil car, running solid, up 1 on the day, 19th up to 18th so far. Double file, everyone's racing, of course, and Beer is just ahead of where he started. And it looks like coming across the line, he should be scored in 17th this time through. Nigel, Shane, Wyatt, thank you both for stopping by. If you got favorite drivers you want to hear from throughout the night, let us know in the chat room. We'll be taking requests all night long. A lot of action to cover, and we haven't finished introducing everyone, and there's a few great drivers to introduce up front. We'll start, of course, with that number 44. Of course, Jacob Halm leading on P1, and right beside him is a driver that everyone should know, and if you don't, well, here he is now. Scott Zellner in the number 2, the all-time winningest driver in series history, coming into this season with 19 wins, 1 under the all-time high of course, 20 if he were to reach it. He's been the lone driver atop the standings in wins for now more than 2.5 years. Zellner has been unstoppable, a champion. He's been able to get that done. The best driver in the Gen 4 era, undoubtedly. Winner of our 2023 Coca-Cola 300, and still on a regular basis competing for race victories. Scott tonight finds himself now to the race lead for the first time in this event, and he's taken himself up to the point, although his teammates are now going to be up in front with them. So now the 4 horsemen lead 2 lines. And Scott Wheeler, one of them, of course, he finds himself up in front as well. Wheeler is a 2-time back-to-back champion. He got the job done in Season 13 on FTF when they broadcasted this series, and Season 14, Highline Racing League's first season with FTN. He was dominant in both those seasons, particularly in Season 14, the first next-gen season of Highline Racing League's existence. But since we've gone back to the Xfinities, the Gen 4s, and now the Gen 6s, Wheeler has taken a back step. He's still a winning contender, but it's been quite a few seasons since we've seen Wheeler at his very best. By all accounts, he still has pace, he's one of the stronger guys in the field, but to win consistently in the Highline Racing League is very challenging, and I'm sure he would know it firsthand. Jimmy McKee, if not the champion in Season 15, which ended up being Alan Kunman, McKee was the man of the hour when we switched over to those Xfinity cars all over again. Of course, and the late Gen 4 era. Season 15 was a battle between he, Wheeler, and Alan Kunman, his teammate, and 2 blacktop racing drivers faced off for the championship on finale night. Kunman got the better of him. Tonight, the number 48 keeps it simple, black, green, and of course, a little bit of a white highlight. Typically sponsored either, of course, by SP Designs or by Mattoon High School. He's a coach over there. Looks like tonight he's of course, keeping it down low, keeping with the Jordan paint scheme, as his teammate, the number 8 up front, is. Right now, McKee finds himself top 5, 31st up to 5th, and up 26 places. He's got a lot to prove, of course, looking to find victory lane again in Daytona. Season 15, he and Scott Wheeler, a photo finish where Wheeler got the better of him. Roberto Ramirez said that he ran the number 41 by accident during the duels just 2 weeks ago, and it looks like he liked that accident so much, he's changed numbers. That's right, for the first time in his Highline Racing League career in several years, Ramirez has officially switched over, and he's running the 41 rather than his trademark number 42. One of the key designers, of course, with the Spire Motorsport crew. He's been with them for several years now. Roberto Ramirez and Bolt's designs have brought some of the best paint schemes on the market to life in the Cup, Xfinity, and Truck Series. Roberto runs right now in 12th, right alongside current league administrator and co-owner Adam Bozzi. Bozzi tonight, the number 27, he's a multi-time race winner, notably back-to-back victories in the middle of season 15. And since that point, he's remained a strong contender. Tonight, the Craftsman number 27 returns. In this time, Toyota Camry form. Adam runs in 13th. Alongside him, that rookie in Joshua Sim. 3 wide now, Dylan Poteet, a short track ace, right there with them. Poteet, a winner at North Wilkesboro in Season 14, and a winner at the Phoenix Raceway in Season 16. He's come close many a time on a big track, but of course, with the random nature of a track like Daytona, you can't really guarantee a strong result until the checkered flag falls. Poteet's most recent successes, of course, include podium finishes last season, and he was very strong at Talladega, close to winning, just couldn't get it through. Ty Smith won at Daytona last season for posterity, but he's 35th and last right now, and it looks like he's not getting back on track. That might be the only time we get to mention him as we introduce everyone here. Chad Winstead. Oh, Andrew Baker. Baker is stalled on the track. He's fallen out of line, and he heads in the 33 in trouble and alone. What happened to Andrew Baker? The 33 of Baker here has big trouble. He got up in the wall. I think it was a hardware failure because he caught Billman with him. Definitely big problems, and highly likely that was a wheel failure. Take a look on the cockpit and we'll decide. No, he got caught up. Usually it's a hard right turn when it's hardware failure. But something else happened to Baker, and he got caught and he parked it. Baker's now on pit row while the rest of the field just comes careening by us. Now, we were going to mention Chad Winstead, and since that point, he's made it up more than 5 positions. He's cut the gap significantly to your race leader, and the former champ, he's making things happen again. Chad is one of the stronger road course drivers. Number 60 won the Mid-Ohio race in Season 14 for his first ever in the modern era, and then came through with the championship in Season 17. A one-time race winner in that affair as he got the job done at the Kern County Speedway, and that was the difference maker. Winstead is known for his consistency. While he might not often find the checkered flag, he sure knows how to find the top 3 in almost every race he competes in. Number 60, of course, with his full season points format often used, you need that. That's something that, of course, Chad has proven to be very, very strong with. For Tyler Hampton, who started and currently runs in 17th, I don't think he's all too excited for this event. But I'm not saying that because he doesn't like Daytona or he doesn't like the new Gen 6 package. What I think it comes down to is he's much better at ending a season than he is at starting it. For the past 3 consecutive seasons, Tyler Hampton has won the season finale race. He did it in Season 16, he did it in Season 17, he did it last season in Season 18. As a matter of fact, that finale for Season 16 was his first ever race, and he came out and dominated that event. Hampton has been on our radar as a potential championship contender for several seasons now. If he puts together that full package alongside his wins, he would be unstoppable. But he comes back again to start a season, and of course, he's not all too dominant at Daytona. He just happens to hang in the pack and tries to keep himself out of trouble. He runs right now in the mid-teens, and I think if he wants to make it to the very end, he's in a pretty good spot, but no telling what it takes to get further. Dalton Beer right now, number 38, is going to be finding himself running just alongside Austin Bloom. You see right now, 21st place for Dalton. Number 38 coming with a significantly different paint scheme, though. A lot brighter than usual. We try to take a better look at it. And it looks like tonight it's one of those backyard baseball paint schemes. And unfortunately, camera's whipping back and forth, but a real nice one for the number 38, Dalton Beer right now. He's got some fan support in the chat, of course, from Swish. Thank you guys for stopping by. If you got favorite drivers, that's the Big League Chew paint scheme, rather. A little bit tricky to tell at this high speed, but tonight, Dalton Beer, bright as ever. He's got that white number 38 inside the top 20 now as he comes officially for P20. Caleb Morrissey, the Jonestown Jet, Two-time winner in season 15, one-time winner through 2024, and if you go back to the very beginning of the action on FTN, he was one of the best drivers in the Rush Truck Series of 2022 and 2023. Tonight, he runs at the back of the field and he's kept himself there. His teammates have gone the more aggressive route, whereas the channel lock number 6 has stayed out of trouble and is waiting for the rest of this race to come to pass. Casey Heschel's got a new look, number 49, same number as always, but Casey tonight looks like right now staying in the back. He's a multi-time race winner, but a part-time competitor. Hasn't been able to go after the championship and try to put something together fully, although he definitely has the pace to do so. It just hasn't come his way. Watch out for Casey Heschel and some of his teammates tonight. Notably, he'll be running with a JR Houston machine, number 20, and the 41 of Roberto Ramirez all season long, all of which running Bolts Designs paint schemes tonight. Dawson Buchanan was perhaps the best rookie last season. Multi-time podium sitter to end the season as well. Similar to Corey Blevins, a bridesmaid perennially, Dawson is still looking for his first career win, but right now he's off the main pack, and that's a real bad place to be. Dawson finding himself 25th with the help of Jason Harris. Currently, 6+ seconds back. Not much else that Buchanan can do. Our friends at Stadium Scene TV broadcast a Wednesday night dash series, and Dawson has proven dominant for several seasons on that circuit. He's a great driver by all accounts, and with the competition level here, he knows that it's not easy. But he's gotten closer and closer as a rookie from the first top 10, the first top 5, the first podium. You got to keep your eye out for this number 4. However, the rest of the field, top 24, they're all together up in front, and there's no signs of them stopping. Scott's down their leads. Alan Cummins is second. Scott Wheeler's third. Undeniably now, I think the focus is on that long-term strategy. They're double file, but the aggression has significantly decreased. Drivers are giving each other room from the bottom side of the top. There's no desire to go for 3 wide maneuvers, and that's something we've seen all week on the channel just because we've seen consistent Daytona racing. Oftentimes, one driver tries to force the issue, bring the 3 wide movement back to life. It's very challenging when you go at it that route for a consistent period of time. 25 to 30 laps of long 3 wide action. It's not easy. But with time to spare, of course, it's much better to just keep things going. Although it might not be as exciting, his strategy game will end up proving most important as the night progresses. Terry Brooks holds the bottom. Scott Zellner holds it up top. We passed the first half of this race. We're 44 laps in. Coming across the line this time through, we will have 36 laps remaining. DJ Stagner now pushing and shoving. He's got that 23 of Terry Brooks right with him. Some help now from DJ. It looks like Terry's got a shot to take the race lead. Highly unlikely he'll swap up to the high groove here, but he's got himself in a close position. Maybe he can do so. 2 by 2 all the way down from front to back. The number 2 of Zellner is exactly where he needs to be. Zellner, Kunman, Wheeler, Winstead. You'll notice right now the outside groove is dominated by those Ford's manufacturer teammates, including Winstead, but Kunman finds himself right in the way. Unfortunately for Allen, he doesn't have anyone he can work with immediately in his vicinity. You could look a little bit further back and then you'll find someone like Jimmy McKee, or you could look even further back and try to find a Dawson Buchanan, but right now the Blacktop Racing boys are spread out. A notable absence tonight is Kendall Kerr, who typically runs number 21. He's been a mainstay for the Blacktop boys all throughout the past few years, and it looks like he's missing the start of the season. Hopefully we'll see him the rest of the campaign. Nevertheless, Scott Zellner holds fort, and he's got himself now 34 laps until the checkered flag. Roberto Ramirez in the number 41 is now up 10 places as you see drivers splitting the difference and heading down to pit road. DJ Stagner will lead with them, the number 7, and that's going to be Lucas Lodano, Sebastian Miller, and Connor Holden. So the entire swamp comes together for teammates while the field gets away here. This is when it becomes more exciting than ever. 34 laps to go, and that was, give or take, a 30-some lap lead. That means now, we got a little bit of time to spare until we see everyone coming to pit road because they can't afford to wait until the end of the race. We could go on this stint most likely 10 to 15 more laps, but it gives you a very small stint to the very end of the race, which isn't optimal for almost anyone. As a result, split the difference, go down and in at the middle. Ramirez, very close to a penalty off tracking. We'll see whether or not he falls in for a penalty based on how quick he ran in. Ramirez risking it, and Roberto gets into a stall in one piece, smoking up the tires. Luckily, he intends to put some more on him. And 33 laps to go. Big risk there, bringing Jacob Hamm in as well. Now the pack slowly but surely dwindles after another big move. Scott Wheeler now eyeing pit road. The leaders deciding for the time being to stay out. Looking a little bit further back, 15th in company, still with us here. So a few drivers have decided to make their way into pit road. Still have a leading pack of about 15 drivers. From Austin Bloom up, there are 15 drivers still in this field. Lappers also going to be very, very apparent now. With that different pit strategy and drivers mixing it up, you're going to see drivers who we haven't seen for quite a while, including those in the backpack. Jacob Hamm now going to be put one under. Moreover, Casey Heschel running with Joshua Sim and Dalton Beer. And stadium scene in the chat room, no doubt about it. Dalton Beer, of course, one to mention, but Dawson Buchanan. So, we talk about Buchanan. Can't forget Colton Gardner. Colton, we haven't gotten to him yet. He's a veteran, and he's always worth mentioning. Number 40's been with us since the start of our coverage in Season 14. Matter of fact, he was in that very first race in Auto Club. Wonderful to see that he's doing a good job tonight as well, and he's going to be part of those packs that we mentioned, the drivers who went in. Smaller groups who might get swallowed up early, but currently it's these guys at risk. Heschel, Sim, Dalton Beer, Scott Zellner, he's the one who tells whether or not they hang on for the lead lap. Still a few more laps left in it, these top guys. Notably, the number 2 of Zellner hangs on. Two teammates now lead the way with 30 laps remaining. Scott Wheeler and Scott Zellner. We, of course, know well the Flying Scotsmen, and they've made it up a combined so far total of 39 places. 14 up for Scott Zellner, Scott Wheeler, a total of 25 spots made. Mind you, only 39 drivers are racing, and they've made it up practically a field and a half if you count just those two. And now with teammates at the helm, they have a controlling opportunity until the next pit stop cycle. Everyone now lining up single file, and this means that pit stops are imminent, no matter how you slice it. 29 laps remaining here, and we're going to see within the next 10 laps the final pit stops of the day. Barring any damage to any driver, this is very likely the last cycle, and for many drivers, it will be their last stop. Any pit stop, of course, will give them about 40 laps on range, and any caution after lap number 76 will bring us to overtime. Even then, that won't pass beyond lap 30 from this point onward. It's going to be very unlikely to see that extension that brings drivers in the pit road question. So these leading 15, give or take, they maintain their positions. Dylan Wedgwood, the number 14, falls back ever so slightly. The number 44 right now, of course, that's Jacob Hamm. He's just hanging on to the back end. Zellner remains your line leader. No signals given through iRacing chat just yet, but when Zellner goes, we're expecting a mass exodus into pit road. Winstead looks, doesn't go for it, as does, of course, the 6 right there. That's Caleb Morrissey, and the leading pack remains the same. Looking right now, Tyler Snyder, Kenny Brooks and company. This is a 5-car grouping. And we'll take a look on the left side of your screen to give you the full information as to what's going on. Pit stop stint time, that's what we'll look at here. So if drivers have a pit stop stint time of under 10 laps, then they have just gone down a pit road. If they have a stint time of more than 30 laps, they've been on the track ever since our last caution and still have to go down and in. As you can see, more than 20 drivers still have to make their way through. The second pack we're looking at is no exception. And it looks like right now, those top 20 still all have a big choice to make. What lap do they decide to go down and in? And it looks like for the leaders, that lap is now. Zellner's going to bring in Wheeler, Winstead, Kunman, Hampton, and Morrissey. It's a big change-up, and there's an issue. Dalton, it looks like gets away, but it'll be Dylan Poteet with trouble. And so now your pit road exit camera will show you what's to come. While Jim Fott gets away, is the only driver still out there coming to the line, this time through the pit exit line. It will be Chad Winstead, Caleb Morrissey, Terry Brooks, then Scott Zellner, Alan Kunman, Jimmy McKee, Scott Wheeler, all coming out at once. Jim stays on track for one extra lap. He'll now head down and in, and we'll see how long this strategy call lasts as the 21 goes in alone. Hopefully, he's got a backup plan here because it looks like he'll be put one lap down, whereas the leading group now gets put together again. Number 6 of Caleb Morrissey now going to be passed, and it'll be straight up. Here comes DJ Stagner to the points. Stagner, when he comes across the line, will be your overall race leader without a doubt. The Swamp is back on top. They hold the race lead 1, 2, 3, 4. And once again, the mastermind is at the helm. Statistically speaking, there's no other man at this track, in this race, who's done it so many other times and brought his team success oh so consistently. A little bit of wiggling just behind. That was Dalton Beer, nearly turned sideways right there with Joshua Sim. It looks like Dalton's just fine after that one, but it could have gotten close. And this is the second grouping that still is working together here. Nevertheless, Jim Fott in that number 21 here. He looks like he's going to be put one down officially, according to timing and scoring, while DJ Stagner is now your race leader. Stagner across the line that time through sees 24 laps to go. And Stagner's remarkable consistency in this one race, in this one event, is unbelievable. Season after season, race after race here at Daytona, he has been the best driver. With that remarkable consistency, of course, comes the pressure of doing it again and again. But tonight, notably, he's got his teammates all lined up with him. While Ty Smith won the race at Daytona last year, you could chalk it up to happenstance with how big that final wreck was. But tonight, he's got his guys 1, 2, 3, 4. Unfortunately, Ty Smith is 38 down and he is off the track. But right now, these guys are absolutely as dominant as they come. And with the Swamp leading, Lucas Lodato right there in second, their newest addition, there's a reason to be confident for these guys in the garage. And Caleb Morrissey, one of the guys just hanging on with Chad Winstead, Terry Brooks, and Matthew Rodriguez right there. However, Rodriguez is one lap down. This time by with 22 laps to go, we're going to crank it up with iRacing's best cameras. Brought to you by TrackCams22.com. Track Cams for Gourmets provide the best broadcasters TV quality cameras with packages for all types of racing through their gold and silver subscriptions. Check them out today at Facebook.com/TrackCams. With 22 laps to go, let's crank it up, unfiltered and unrestricted in Daytona. trailing Jason Harris, you might have noticed there on the bottom of the racing circuit, but it looks like otherwise the field is A-OK. 18 laps to go, and we come across the stripe, and looking at Harris here, take a listen. Either out of fuel or the motor is gone. Take a look at this. We'll figure it out. Sputtering, he ran out of fuel. Oh, and Jason Harris, the night is basically over on that note. The number 88 is still trying to make it in, but he's going at 17 miles an hour here. Big problem here for the number 88 as the field flies by. I don't think Harris will make it in without external assistance, which nobody's going to give. The race is still going. Unbelievable. Unfortunately for Harris, that means his night is all but said and done. Caleb Morrissey now leading the outside groove. Got himself just beyond the podium. Still fighting the top 5 directly. With DJ Stagner leading the way here, his teammates all rocking the inside groove. We've seen this situation play out many times before. Oftentimes, however, we've seen it happen in different series and different leagues, some of which, ironically enough, DJ Stagner and Chad Winstead have competed in. Winstead is in this race, and he's, of course, running in the top 10, but he was also in a race in the summer of 2023 with the Integrity Octane Series. And in that event, of course, we saw dominant with the Tube Tech 250. It was an event dominated by Guillermo Alvarez and his group, including Jorge Canales and Victor Avila Felix. Those guys all ran together, controlled the lines till the very end of the race, and they won outright. It was 3 drivers. This was the next-gen package, not the Gen 6s, but it was a 3-car combination that controlled the race from beginning and especially to the end. Winstead, that was his first ever Octane Series start. He didn't make all too many after the fact, but he was competitive that night, but nobody, not even this number 60, could keep up. When 4 drivers come together and they lead a line, unless everyone else around really works together, it's all but over. This is the position this team needs to be in, Swamp Motorsports, and they have it. The question becomes if they go for a have-at-it attitude till the tail end of the race, or if they have it like this. Caleb Morrissey and company would surely be at a disadvantage now if this is how it ended, but they might have a saving grace in Matthew Rodriguez if, of course, he has any pace. Matthew is 1 lap down, he's in 23rd, and he's staying with these guys. Don't quite know how aggressive he'll be willing to be in these final laps. One in the wall, that's Casey Heschel. And he's in there bad. KC's up in the wall. He's going to have to head down a pit road or just keep himself going with damage. But it looks like he's lost turning. Right front suspension destroyed. That will be his night. He'll have to pull off the track or limp it across this lap. Still going 150. But as you can see inside the cockpit, it is a struggle to turn that thing. The field flies by, but Heschel has to get out of the way. And KC, much like Jason Harris here, making a horrible mistake, and this will be a race ender. Luckily, it looks like he can keep himself on the apron. As the leaders are far out of sight, that shouldn't be a problem. It is now 13 laps to go, 68 laps in. Mistakes like that you can't afford to have when you're fighting for the win. Luckily, that wasn't in the battle up front. If you've enjoyed the action so far tonight live on FTN, we're covering exclusively all races this season in the Premier Series. So make sure to leave a like on the stream, subscribe to the channel, and we're always glad to be back with the Highline Racing League. Exciting action to end your Thursday nights and move into the weekend. Like the stream, subscribe to the channel. We just hit 2,800 subscribers. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for that amazing accomplishment. This month has been only up and up for FTN, and we can't thank you enough, as this speed week has been exciting, and this ends it. 12 more laps in Daytona, 1 more winner. Who could it be? DJ had his first chance at winning in Daytona Monday nights. He tried to get the job done, got close, got caught in a wreck with 5 laps remaining. He was there with his teammate Ryan Potter and Sebastian Miller, neither of which could come through and collect the victory, but they were as close as they could get. Now the question becomes, with time running out and lappers in the way, who gives first? Will there be any major mistakes? And with time now really coming toward its end, will we see overtime to end this night? 11 laps to go. Lap 70 of 80. Lap 76 is the threshold. If there are any cautions after lap 76, we go to overtime and extend this race beyond lap 80 and beyond the 200-mile threshold here. We're coming up on 10 laps to go, so also make sure to leave your race-winning predictions, if you have any. Who do you think is going to get the job done now that we're coming toward the very end? Is there anyone in your mind? Let us know in the chat room below. We'll be, of course, reading, responding, and hey, maybe one of you might get it right. 10 laps to go here in Daytona. "22 drivers on the lead lap. 12 drivers in this pack, it looks like. That's even been cut down further, as this is now the second grouping. Jimmy McKee, Dalton Beer, Joshua Sim, Scott Wheeler, and Scott Zellner. The Flying Scotsmen run together, but they are now 7 seconds behind on 7th place. That just goes to show how small this leading pack has become. Single digits coming around this time by. For 9 laps to go, DJ Stagner and the Swamp are holding this race down. Now I gotta wonder, do you think these guys are going to be able to move around the 4 drivers who are teammates working together? They've got themselves in this position where they're practically locked in, but are they going to be even possible to get through? 4 drivers holding the inside, whereas the rest of the pack isn't really working together all too well. They're just keeping each other side by side. Someone's got to give. Something has to give. Starting to wonder whether or not these guys further back have what it takes. Caleb Morrissey appears rather adamant to keep himself on the outside as the group leader here. Either they organize under one driver or they all fall to what's going on up in front. Stagner's got it exactly the way he likes it, and with 8 laps to go, organization proves critical. DJ Stagner getting a minor breakaway. Terry Brooks looking outside. Who will decide to make the move to push the outside to the lead? It looks like now with some more support, Terry Brooks is getting the help he needs to push to the front. It'll be Terry Brooks, Caleb Morrissey, Chad Winstead, Tyler Hampton, and Colton Gardner on that outside, 2 of which are lappers, and of course now only 3 of them are fighting for this win here. But the longer they stay together, the closer they get up front. They're using that side drafting, they're taking the momentum from the high side of the track, and when 2 lines are practically equal in number, they'll be practically even in speed. That's the principle they've got to rely on now if they come to 6 laps to go. And Brooks, if he wants any chance, he'll have to get everything out of Morrissey and company here. And Caleb, I'll tell you, he's given the fattest shoves we've seen all night. Fighting through lap after lap. And Brooks is getting everything he could possibly need, but still, you'll notice that Stagner and Lodano are clear. 6 laps to go. Can the curse be broken for all these other drivers, or can the legacy continue? If you look at it from the Swamp Motorsport perspective, they run this race. Season in, season out. It's always been theirs. But for the rest of the field, tonight they have a real chance to do something different. Try something else. There's Tyler Snyder. Does Snyder decide to go high? Yes, he does. Only to go back low. 5 laps to go. Morrissey's trying again. Caleb knows that this could be one of his only opportunities to win this season. Caleb's success is ever unpredictable, and while he ends up sometimes a threat of those mile-and-a-half circuits, he's proven a superspeedway winner before. Talladega winner. Season 15 was his last effort at the big tracks that got him to victory lane. But even still, they're fading back. The swamp has come together, and they put through a quarter of a second. They're ahead, and they're gaining even more. Is Tyler Snyder the last hope? Is he backing up his run on purpose, or is he looking instead just to ride in line and pray for the lucky dog? 4 laps remaining. It looks like tonight. However you slice it, DJ Stagner's got it made for at least the podium. He's got the defense, and he of course has the track position. Caleb Morris, he can't quite find a way. He's not getting the assistance he needs. He tried it with Brooks and Winstead, but even still, when you think about how organized those top 4 are, it's almost impossible to break through. Just thinking about the optics of it all, it's a challenge, and a significant one at that. 3 laps remaining, and from the back end of that 64, Stagner has it made. He'll come across the start-finish line 7.5 miles away from victory, doing it all over again and continuing his dominant streak as the king of Daytona in the Highline Racing League. Caleb Morrissey, of course, still has time. Don't think for a second here just because he's failed all those many times to get back up doesn't mean there isn't a plan. Winstead, manufacturer teammates now with the 6 knows what's at stake. He'll go high, as does Hampton, as does the 06, one of the rookies, Sean Billman, all of which, except for Colton Gardner, have decided to take it up top, which will make it a 4-car race up high with 2 laps to go. DJ Stagner still has the whole field in his hand. Next time by, the race will be official, and it'll come to a close. White flag, it's next. Still, the question remains, does Lodato race for the win? Do, of course, any of these teammates try to go at it for their own? Or will they let it slide and let DJ Stagner retain that status on top? Still no movement yet from the men behind. Swamp Motorsports, 1, 2, 3, 4, looking for their second consecutive win and 3 in their last 4 at Daytona in the Premier Series. White flag is out, 1 lap to go. It's a dream team at Daytona, but the rest of the field wants their fair share. Caleb Morrissey, try as he may, now has room up top, only to get blocked and taken up to the ceiling. Holden, real loose now, he'll fall out of line. Caleb Morrissey now with the shot he's needed. 1 driver down, 3 to go. Caleb's the only real chance they have left here. Does Lucas Lodato decide to break? DJ Stagner breaks! Major mistake from the 64. Stagner now falls out of line, squeezing Caleb Morrissey. Caleb is still going for it. Winstead goes high. Lucas Lodato gets away. It's a huge error for every other driver, but Lodato escapes the wreckage. Lucas Lodato, through the last lap chaos, holds on. Swamp Motorsports wins another at Daytona. Can you believe it? 1 lap led. And as we've seen time and again, it's the checkered. Opening season 19 on top. Lucas Lodato wastes no time and finds himself a victor at the ovals before a road course. How about that? 35 drivers, and Lucas Lodato gets away. looking for a double burnout between teammates here. Holden and Lodato, first and second place finish for the two of them respectively. Stay tuned, we'll be talking to your race winner right after this. Well-awaited celebration for Lucas Lodato. The Ohio native makes it big, the world center of racing, and he's soaking it all in here. But I think the motor's blown. And to the start-finish line, Lodato takes it a winner tonight in Daytona. Lucas Lodato wins from Connor Holden second and Terry Brooks in third, Sebastian Miller fourth, so Swamp Motorsports comes away with 3 top 5 finishes and 4 top 10. Caleb Morrissey ends the top 5 with that valiant effort, and Chad Winstead comes away P6. 7th place on the day goes to DJ Stagner. Scott Zellner then going to be in 8th. P9, Scott Wheeler and Joshua Sim rounds out the top 10. Even though he was involved in that first incident, Sim gets away quite well and recovers. 11th place goes then to Jimmy McKee, and Dalton Beer finishes in 12th, with 13th going to Matt Muir, Jim Fott in 14th, Austin Bloom P15, and Adam Bozzi 16th on the day. Corey Blevins finishes in 17th, Alan Cummin 18th. Then you got 19th in Roberto Ramirez, 20th at Dylan Poteet. 22nd on the day is Dylan Wedgwood, and then from there, Jacob Halm. You'll see Sean Billman, Colton Gardner, and Tyler Snyder to end the top 25. 26th place goes Joey Chapman, with Matthew Rodriguez 27th, 28th in Kenny Brooks, 29th in Dawson Buchanan, and Tyler Hampton in 30th. 31st, Jason Harris, 32nd, Andrew Baker, 33rd, Casey Heschel, and Ty Smith, 34th, with J.R. Houston getting the job done in what was a remarkably clean race with only 3 cautions and a scuffle to the end. Let's hear from the man who wins it first and foremost. Usually we hear from him mid-season at least once. A road course ace, and now with the win, and of course, usually he's got the road course on lock. We might be seeing a real championship contending opportunity for your number 7. But tonight, unlike his usual dominant wins, Lucas Lodato only led 1 lap. But it's the one that matters. Lucas, you come back to victory lane, and so early, you win here at Daytona to start season 19.
Yeah, man, feels really good. A great way to kick off my time with Swamp. I am ecstatic right now. Could not be happier with how that race went. Everything from the strategy to just how we were able to make that work and the pushes, and we were able to all get lined up there at the end and just pull away and make it really work. It was awesome having all, the 4 or 5 of us lined up there. It was great.
And we saw that first and foremost. One of our cleanest ever runs here at Daytona. Only 3 yellow flags, all of which minor incidents, and then it became survival of the fittest. It was perhaps a more than 50-lap green flag run to end this one, and you and the Swamp Motorsports crew came down to pit road early, got yourself set up, and came through to lead the field till the very end. Could you walk us through the strategy the team went through, of course, to get to that point?
Yeah, well, we knew that we were lined up at the front on the bottom for a lot of the race. And we knew that we wanted to pit early and just start to get that jump on everybody. We knew that if we were going to be the first ones and we were able to get all lined up there, that it would work. And we got 4 of us lined up in a row there on the pits, out of the pits, and it worked out really good. We were just able to manage the traffic really well. Didn't really have any issues clearing everybody. And by the time that it took everybody to get up to us. We had cleared that second pack so far that there wasn't enough momentum for the 3 or 4 in the top side to try to move up to where we were at. So yeah, it all worked out really well. I'm super happy on how that went, and a great result for the team. Connor in second, Sebi in fourth, DJ in seventh. Obviously we had a few that got taken out earlier on, but especially for DJ after getting hit in that first caution and making it back up, him being able to lead the line like that with a car that may have had a little bit of wheel damage on it was really impressive. And thankfully we were able to keep it moving. And getting into the whole, swamps are very good at the super speedways, so being able to get sort of my first taste of a super speedway win in my first race with them is it makes me really happy. I'm very happy about it.
And not only that, but of course the big momentum to bring it in the remainder of the season. We know you so well for coming through the road courses, and you've gotten yourself oval successes before. So starting the season off with a win, massive in that respect. Next up on the schedule, we're looking for a cookie cutter intermediate. Maybe not your best of track types, but we've still seen you strong there before. How do you feel now about the rest of what's yet to come?
Yeah, we'll have to see. This is a new car for me. I wasn't on iRacing when this was the A car, so this is all going to be new to me. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to the new challenge and getting used to all that. So should be exciting. Hopefully I can get up to grips with this car pretty quickly, and we can be competitive throughout the season.
Lucas Lodano kicking things off with a race victory and a dominant performance from the Swamp Motorsport crew. Any final shout-outs and comments you'd like to give out?
Yeah, thanks again to all my Swamp guys. Thanks to the league admins for putting it all together. Thanks for my girlfriend Lily for watching as always. And yeah, thanks for putting on the broadcast, and I really appreciate it.
Lucas Lodano, the man of the hour, winning tonight to open season 19 in Daytona. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Lodano on the way. Next up, of course, the number 81 of Connor Holden. 1-2 finish for the team, and Holden had to fight through at the very end to hang on for that podium placement. Connor, 11 laps led, second place to start the season, and back to one of your strengths at these super speedways.
I tell you what, we, us four, me, Sebi, Lucas, and DJ, I mean, it's what we do. We pull off these strategies and somehow make them work, and got up front, had to make it a little bit, couldn't just sit there in the last lap. Had to make it interesting. And I probably made the wrong move. I almost wrecked myself. But I'm so proud of Lucas Lodano. I mean, how about that first race for Swamp? We've been trying to get him here for so long. It's so awesome to have him. We had such a great race, and I'm so proud of everybody tonight.
And you mentioned that newest addition, and it ended up being you four running at the front of the field, of course. You had Miller, Lodano, yourself, and DJ Stagner, and that team coordination meant everything. But I want to talk more with you, of course, about how you went about it as your own. You got your own laps led. You made those moves at the very end. I was wondering, before it all got crazy on the last lap, were you guys going to race each other for race victory or try to let it be?
Well, it is team first always, but as soon as that, white flag hits and, we don't get stupid, if it's there for the taking, we go for it. There's no letting anybody win here. It's all one big happy family, but we all want to win. And unfortunately, not all of us can win, but at that last lap, I tried to have something, if anything, to stop the run up top, made sure we got the win, but if it helped me push me to the lead, and all for it. But this didn't work out like that. But great team race for us.
And nevertheless, starting the team off strong once again, Connor. We've seen it time and again. Daytona always comes down to Swamp Motorsport. But the rest of the season coming up, how do you feel about your chances with our second race heading back to the mile and a half?
I'm feeling a lot, more confident in myself going everywhere else. We didn't actually finish the season last year, but the last race it did, we won Phoenix. So everywhere else, I'm feeling a little bit better, feeling more confident. I'm excited for the rest of the season. With Lucas here, he's so strong at places like the road courses. He's really good at the mile and a half. So the more we can, learn off Lucas, the more I can learn off DJ, Ryan, Ty, everybody, it's going to help benefit all of us.
Well, Connor Holden getting things started. Second place on the day. First race back with the Gen 6s. If you have any final shout-outs you'd like to give, the floor is yours.
Well, I do. Everybody at Swamp. So Ty Smith. Ty unfortunately had a rough run tonight, but, nevertheless, our fearless leader, of course, DJ, Sebi, Ryan Potter. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it tonight. Lucas, so happy to have you here tonight. So we do have a little Swamp Motorsports song that the team has asked me to sing. David, do I have 30 seconds to pop this one off real quick?
Yeah, you got it.
All right. I hope the Swamp is watching. This is our Swamp. This is our team. We bleed green. This is our Swamp. Whether win or lose, we're faster than McQueen. Beat Team Trap House. Waffle House is better. This is our Swamp. Go Swamp! All right, I messed it up there. So sorry, team. But, it's there. It's on the internet now. It was on the internet before. Good night, David. I hope you had a good time watching the race tonight. I hope everybody watching enjoyed that and can make fun of me, for the rest of their life.
Connor Holden, second place. Thank you for stopping by, and we thank you for the performance.
All right, boss man. Have a good night.
Well, Connor Holden on the way. And with that said, one more driver to speak to. That is Terry Brooks in the number 23. Third place again. Terry's found himself here many a time before. And once again, a strong podium run. So close tonight to that victory, Terry. Welcome back to the top three.
Thank you very much. Yeah, this track's always works miracles on either having a great weekend or a bad weekend. It was the outside line on that last 25 lap run. Just, I don't know if the tire wear was there and we just had too much wheel input to be able to get there quicker. But I was really impressed. We were pulling away from the pack ahead of us, and it just went crazy coming to the checker, just like Daytona always does.
And we saw that time and again. Unfortunately for your case, in a lot of that run, I'm sure you didn't have quite the vantage point you'd like. We saw the Swamp Motorsport guys running 1, 2, 3, 4, trying for a chance up top there with guys like Caleb Morrissey and Chad Winstead. I'm sure you have your thoughts about the organization that led to that point.
Yeah, we just couldn't put anything together. They were really had a good push, and I really think it comes down to the tires. Because the first 25 lap run, the outside line was definitely more dominant. Even after that 20 lap caution at lap 20, the outside, I mean, we could pull up 4 cars ahead of the inside line. I think the tire wear, just taking 2 at that green flag stop, just killed the outside line, and they were just sitting in the bird seat.
And tonight, a completely different package compared to what we've used for the past year now. The Gen 6 is back in effect. How are you feeling about the change? Of course, we had the duels, and now we've made our way here for our first main feature, although 32nd up the third for you, so you had a lot of work cut out.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'd missed the duels, so I had to take my last season provisional to be in the race. But we worked up very cautiously. And, I mean, we had a really good car. I like the combination of the car, especially with the varying horsepower, depending on the tracks we're at. I think the biggest thing that everybody's going to have to really work on is this is the least or the worst braking car we've had in seasons. So I think there's going to have to be a lot of people getting up on their toes, just trying to make sure we create proper distances to allow for the braking distances, because it brakes very similar to an ARCA car, and it's not very good.
We haven't gone back to those Gen 4s in the ARC, as you mentioned. We saw in Season 16 with the Gen 4, and even before that in the previous seasons, like Season 13. So that's one thing to keep note of. And, intermediates coming up next. Do you think that'll come into play all too much?
I don't think we'll see it too much at the intermediate. I think it's going to be that mile and under type track that we're going to see it. And this car had a very excessive tire wear compared to any other car we've had at Daytona. even the Gen 4 cars. So tire wear may be a very big factor all season long. So then that changes how the strategy and how you got to race to try to be up front at the end of the race.
Well, Terry Brooks tonight up front at the very end. A total, of course, 2 laps led on the day and a 3rd place finish to start the season. If you have any final comments you'd like to give out, we'd love to hear it.
I really like to thank Westlake for jumping on again to help us this season, sponsoring my team, Esquire Express. Special shout out to Gary Geno at Westlake, just helping us process all this along, and another gentleman, Paul Brogan. Great fans to have and help make the show move on.
Terry Brooks, P3 on the day here from the Daytona International Speedway. Thank you again for stopping by and kicking off the season strong.
Have a great one. Thank you, David.
With Brooks on the move, what an end to our race there. I mean, chaotic as it was, we still saw amazing action. And one of the fastest 200-mile races we've seen all throughout the Highline Racing League's existence. A really quick start, a really quick finish, 80 laps and 200 miles coming in at 1 hour and 7 minutes overall. I'm sure we could do the calculations there, but that was a really rapid race, the likes of which we don't often get at these super speedways just because of how chaotic they tend to be. Nevertheless, with the night over, congratulations to Terry Brooks for coming home 3rd, Connor Holden coming home 2nd, and Lucas Lodato opening up his Swamp Motorsport career at long last with the race victory. Checkered flag is out on Speed Week here at FTN. We can't thank you enough for continuing your support and allowing us to accomplish our new all-time high of 2,800 subscribers to the channel. If you enjoyed, well, I've been David Kreutz, commentating and producing all the action from the virtual Daytona International Speedway. From the Highline Racing League and the Westlake Royal Building Products Premier Series, if you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. Your support is always greatly appreciated. Thank you for tuning in tonight. We'll be back next Thursday night with our coverage of week 2 of the season, another intermediate race, and we can't wait to have you there. Our next broadcast will be Saturday, and it'll be the SNT campaign continuing at Charlotte. Check that event out. We hope you'll be back to watch more coverage with the Xfinity cars on Saturday nights. Thank you for tuning in. Congratulations once again to Lucas Lodato for the race victory, and we hope you have a fantastic night.